careful, I'm gonna tell you right now. Oh.
Throughout the city of Jacksonville, we have different stormwater control measures that take stormwater runoff, filter out pollutants or contaminants, and then return clean water to our watershed. Several types of stormwater control measures include ponds, swells, wetlands, stormwater wetlands, and/or sand filters. While it's very important to inspect these devices and to maintain these devices, we've got to do it safely, and that's why the Stormwater Department and the Fire Department are working together today to fix the geotextile fabric that was laid on top of the sediment chamber so that it actually allows to prolong the life of the sediment so that we can keep these chambers working for a lot longer.
Of course, we're going to need IC, we're going to need safety. I think Chief Kistner's already gone over rigging officer, or he's going to assign somebody rigging officer for this. Outside of that, if you're making entry into the hole, you have to be in long sleeve, you have to have eye protection and pants on as well. There will be air monitoring, so it has to be conducted before any entry can be made, and it has to be conducted during the entry as well. Shouldn't have a problem. We didn't have one last time, but you never know, especially being cold weather or anything like that, so we want to make sure we're being safe. The rig, it's going to be completely up to y'all. I mean, keep it simple. Use an elevated tripod system if you got to, 4-to-1. You can use anchors, whatever we got out there. I'll be out there to assist setting it up. And if you make entry in the hole, we need people documenting that on the confined space entry permit. Okay, so these will be documented. They'll be locked into the system and turned in afterwards.
So today what we're going to be doing, anytime you go into a confined space, for this it's actually going to be, down in our sewer drains here. We got to check the oxygen levels. That's the most important part. So we have a 4-gas monitor here. The main thing we're worried about is the oxygen levels. Normal atmosphere, you're looking at 20.9, and that's what we're hoping to stay within is around 20.9.
So what is the level?
So we're looking for 20.9 for our oxygen. We're still at 20.9, so that's regular atmosphere.
It's always good just to get that extra hands-on training. So it's a little bit different situation with the smaller spaces down in there, working with the sand and stuff like that. But it's always good to get our hands on the rigging and lowering and haul systems that we use for confined spaces.
At the top, 20.9, at the middle, 20.9, and at the bottom, 20.9. All LELs and toxics were 0.
Again, if there's a depression in the sand, smooth it out so that it's level. And again, we're just taking that fabric and putting it all the way down on both sides and smoothing it out.
It's going excellent. We have a confined space team within our technical rescue team here at the fire department. And we're actually using this opportunity to get our confined space entry. That's something that we're required to do every year. And to help stormwater out, to check out the sand filters that are covering the Center for Public Safety.
Just waiting for people. All right, strong van, perfect. All right, so the first 2 people are going in are Party, or M. Williams, and Tito. Party.
Rescuer in the hole.
Oh, 1016.
Woo, this was a little bit more right. Rescuer on the ground.
Thank you.
Everyone good? You got tension, slack, anything? Give me about 10 foot on each slack. Yeah.
Slack on orange!
How we looking, buddy?
It's getting smoother.
Huh?
It's getting smoother. So, how smooth does she want it?
That looks good to me.
Okay.
Y'all did great.
All right. So I'm gonna clean up that there.
The smoother, the better protection of the sediment down below.
Okay.
Oh, that looks great.
All right. what's making it ripple a little bit is we're having to move around those rectangular chambers.
The weirs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here at our public safety complex, we actually have 7 sand filters. They are underground sand filters, and basically what happens is stormwater runoff from the rooftops and from the large parking lot will go through a catch basin and go into what we call the water chamber. That is where trash is collected, and then there at the bottom of the water chamber there are weirs that as the water chamber fills up with water, water will spill over the weir and go into what we call the sand chamber. The sand chamber has about 2.5 feet of sediment that is uniformly across this chamber. There's a geotextile fabric on top. That geotextile fabric is there to absorb petroleum products that might accidentally get on a parking lot. It's absorbed because that's easy to take out. And then the sediment, what happens is when the water moves in, is it sheet flows across the sediment and it's pulling out the contaminants. The top contaminant being sediment, soil itself. Then you have bacteria and you have nutrients in the forms of ammonias and phosphates and nitrates. And so all this water is traveling down the sediment chamber and is going down and percolating through the sand, very similar to what Mother Earth does.
Hold. You look up. Everything's screwed properly. Looks screwed down. Looks good. All right. Raise. Ready? Ready. Watch your head. Raise on my hand.
Pretty much from this point back that way, it had basically kind of eroded it all the way to one side. So we basically got down and basically pulled all the slack down this way, kind of got it around all those weirs, and then just kind of pulled it back. And then where it meets the, what do you call it, the water chamber, all the dirt has kind of like, it was pushed up into where that pipe comes through, so we basically flattened all that out and pulled the slack.
I definitely don't recommend people do this without training. A lot of times with your confined spaces, you can encounter IDLH atmospheres with lower oxygen levels. That's why we have our gas monitors to monitor the oxygen readings and the other toxic gases that can be present in our confined spaces. And everyone that made entry is confined space certified. We have to go through several hours worth of classes in order to get our confined space certification to make these entries.
One of the common questions are, what do I do with a sand filter? I'm the permittee. How do I inspect it or maintain it? Is we want to make sure that people or citizens are always safe. You're not allowed to go into a sediment chamber or into a sand filter unless you have confined space entry. You have to be certified, and that certification carries year to year. You have to have so much training. It's very important.
Good. All right. Raise. Ready. Watch your head.